All right, here we are. Welcome everyone to Edge AI Partner. We're here to talk about some of the new and interesting partners in our ecosystem and part of the foundation community. And today I have Keith Kressin from MemryX. So
Yes, hi
Keith,
Pete. Good to see you. Thank you for the invite.
yes. So Keith and I actually know each other from a previous life where he was at Qualcomm.
That's right.
And I was at Microsoft. How long were you at Qualcomm for?
A little over 13 years.
Yeah, so
So
pretty good chunk
yeah,
of time.
it was
Yeah.
good. Yeah, a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good times. So it's funny in this ecosystem. For me, I've been doing kind of where software meets hardware for decades, and so you kind of meet people over and over again, kind of that are in this area, and so that's kind of the fun of it, I guess, is you kind of re-engage with folks over and over again in different phases. But you've been with MemryX now for a few years now.
Oh,
What's so?
yeah. Almost 4 years. By late this year, will be
Yeah.
4 years, which is hard to believe. Yeah,
Cool. So why don't we get like what's the origin story here on MemryX and what's the
sure.
deal?
Yeah, MemryX was founded by a couple of professors at University of Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and professors and a couple of their top grad students. So it was founded in 2019. And the goal was to create an edge AI accelerator, different from everybody else. I know lots of people have different ideas on how to be different. And, but, I was at Qualcomm at the time and I reviewed their architecture and technology, really liked it, and decided to join and lead the company. So I've been there, since late 2021.
Cool. And are they mostly still Michiganders? I guess is that the
Yeah,
name?
we've expanded. So the heart of the company and the headquarters is still in Michigan. We have a couple of stragglers like myself out in California, a small team in Taiwan, a small team in India, and we're about to open offices in Saudi Arabia. So we have the address. We're just hiring now and had our first acceptances. And so by October, I'll be visiting Saudi and we'll be inaugurating our office there.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a chat offline about the kingdom, and because I think there's a lot of really cool tech happening there, and
There is.
yeah,
There is.
and it's kind
Yeah.
of a real hotspot these days for investment and innovation too. So that's pretty cool
Absolutely.
that you
Yeah,
guys
they're
are.
gonna be major. They're gonna be a major hub in the Middle East, no doubt about it. I think UAE and Saudi Arabia. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, I must keep you busy. I guess you get a lot of frequent flyer miles then flying around.
Yeah, now and again. Yeah, some good time zone action too. Trying to set up a meeting between all those sites. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it. That's one thing we didn't solve. Like we really flattened the earth in terms of, meetings and other things like that. But time,
Yeah,
curvature of the earth,
yeah,
tough one. Tough
that's
one.
a tough one.
But so MemryX, so as I understand it, and I have a few questions about it because it sounds really cool. I mean, it's really like, I wouldn't say it's like a radical simplification of an AI accelerator where you have everything you need in an M.2 connector, and the accelerator, the memory, everything is just in there. And you can, like, I guess the one question is like sort of, yeah, what makes it special and different? I'm curious about that. And
Right.
this term that you were using called at memory compute, I'm interested in
Yes.
that. And then also, where do you see this? Where are you starting to see traction? It's just kind of like, in my mind, when I read about it, I was like, oh, this sounds like ideal for like brownfield computing or other platforms where maybe you have a compute platform and you want to add AI into it. And then this is like a way of doing that without redesigning the whole system and
That's true.
stuff like that.
That's
But
right.
so what's the special,
Yeah.
what makes it so
What's the
special?
special sauce? Yeah, everybody's got something that's special. On MemryX, I think the architecture is the key. So it's a bunch of highly parallel cores, and memory is local to each of those cores. And
Okay.
the cores are all instructed as to what to do at compile time, and they all work autonomously. So there's no bus that exchanges information between the cores. You could make a chip with 100 cores, 1,000 cores, a million cores. Memory is localized and you could scale. So it all operates in parallel. So if you think of a CPU and a GPU, you have kind of a narrow bus that goes out. Obviously, GPUs, you have HBM, you have multiple buses to HBM, but it's always kind of a bus to memory architecture. Here,
Right.
there's no bus, there's no memory controller. It can operate with any memory that's local to the compute and it's autonomous. So it really, really has good scalability.
Mm.
And complexity has been pushed as much as possible to the software layer versus the hardware layer. So it's very simple to use, very scalable. You know, the compiler and everything is done in-house, very efficient from a power performance standpoint. But the scalability, ease of use, you know, run models out of the box without tuning them, and we could build basically any design point. We chose to build, like you said, a form factor that goes into an M.2, so kind of
Mm.
single digit watts. But if someone said tomorrow, hey, can you build a server core? We have the foundation for it, and we could by just scaling up the design. So
Mm.
it's the architecture is really compelling. Of course, it's expensive to do silicon, and so we have a single chip now, the MX3, and
Mm.
working on our MX4. But we could almost scale to any design point, and the software and hardware is scalable for that. And then,
Wow.
you know, what markets is for? We've
Yeah.
initially targeted computer vision centric markets. And so we'll go into, you know, a device that has a single camera, that's possible, but we're really, you know, because the performance is higher, it's really good for any multi-camera system.
Mm.
So surveillance or security system, you know, video management system, retail or industrial use, or a machine with multiple cameras. Those are all good, really good applications
Yeah.
for.
And do you see it like in those kind of brownfield environments where people are like, I have a platform, I want to AI accelerate a platform, and then I can plop this thing in there? Is that like
Yeah,
the
often, yeah, often. And by the
Mm.
way, we get some really old legacy platforms, like
Yeah.
really surprising the long tail. Or we have someone has a 32-bit platform, or someone has an old, one of the first PCI Gen 3 platforms that's more than a dozen years old, and they
Mm.
want to add AI to it, and it's an industrial application. They don't
Right.
want to rip it up. They don't want to change the
No.
OS. They don't want to change the access, the application processor, and we just connect up to a USB or PCI Express port. You can offload all the AI to us, and we support, any Windows or Linux or Android, any
Right.
x86, any ARM, and so it scales really well across different applications and frameworks and AI models. And so, yeah,
Mm.
that's the long tail. Kind of just update these ancient platforms
There's a
but
lot of
they
them.
work and they run and for industrial use.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, there's a number of new platforms that we connect
Sure.
to also.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, we were talking before we started recording about revenue, but there's a lot of stuff deployed out there, and nobody is really motivated to rip it up and revalidate everything again because probably the developer that worked on it is no longer there anymore, and blah blah blah. It's like if it's
Yeah.
not broken, don't fix it. But there are all these new scenarios and new things. I was thinking about like vending machines, some other things like that, where there's some level of automation in there and some level of compute, but obviously what's happening now in terms of AI and edge AI is way beyond what
Yeah.
people originally imagined. So
Yeah.
there's a huge opportunity for people, especially in the industrial, like you said, retail, um, environments, to kind of add more AI capabilities into it. So that
Yeah,
must be
that's right.
interesting.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we'll go into, each chip uses kind of a half a watt to 2 watts, depending on the model. So we can go
Mm.
into a very small system, like an individual camera, all the way up to edge servers where we have, multiple M.2 cards. And someone, for example, has an NVIDIA powered server with,
Right.
A6000 GPUs or something else. And we can go in and say, wow, we can be much cheaper, much lower power, go to a 2U form factor, and we can process, 50 or 100 data streams in that edge server for a lot
Mm.
less money, a lot lower power, a lot smaller footprint. And so there's a number of compelling applications, but this
Yeah.
ability, by the way, we can run on one chip, or we can attach basically any number of chips to a platform, and it just scales, linearly
Yeah.
with all the exact same software.
You mentioned a couple of like universal truths around edge AI there, like, being able to do things for less cost, less power, more impact. I mean, most people, when they get started with edge AI, you know, they start with like a Jetson Nano box or something like that, which is, no harm, no foul.
That's right. Yeah.
But then it's like, well, actually, do I need that? Do I need all that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it turns out you can do a lot of AI with a lot less power and cost.
Yeah,
And I think
the Jetson's a very common starting point because everybody happens to know NVIDIA,
I
and
got the
they have a lot
CUDA,
of
I got
great
the
tools,
box.
software,
Yeah.
and if someone wants, I'd say on average, we're about 20x better performance per watt. So if someone
Wow.
says, and lower cost, obviously. So if
Sure.
someone wants a smaller form factor, lower power, lower cost, less maintenance, then we're a good option to go to production.
Yeah. You mentioned the software layer, so you must have a pretty hotshot software team in
Yeah.
terms of the compiler and optimization. And do you think about these paths, these developer paths that are coming from CUDA or coming from PyTorch, or like what are the different? How do you handle some of that,
Yeah.
transition?
We start with so we don't start with the CUDA optimized model, but we start with the trained model from any of the modern frameworks, PyTorch or
Mhm.
TensorFlow or TensorFlow Lite. So we start with just the trained model, and really our claim to fame is one click out of the box compilation without any model modifications. And everybody says, "Oh no, you can't do that." But if you look at our website, we have I think on our website now we have maybe 400 models that we show we can do that. And in our testing, we have more than 4,000 models where we just get them from customers. We scrape the web, all Hugging
Right.
Face, all different
Mhm.
sources, and we do a one-click compile. And then if
Mm.
someone, that gets the customer most of the way there. Then if the
Sure.
customer is ready to deploy in volume, obviously we
Mm.
can work with them to optimize the
Tune it a little
model,
bit.
squeeze every bit out. But really, out of the box performance, power, is stellar with
Mm.
the platform. So yeah, the compiler team is definitely, I would say, kind of the heart of the company, and we do everything in house. The full AI design is including, the state machines and Macs and everything is done in-house, as is the compiler and the
Mm.
entire software stack. So we don't rely on anyone else's IP. It's all done homegrown within MemryX.
Man, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. And so where are you at in you're obviously not public yet, so you're still private.
that's right.
How many series are you in? Or are you what's your funding
We,
situation these
we
days?
completed the Series B earlier this year. Probably
Mm.
raise a C next year.
Mhm.
But we've raised a total of about $60 million to date, which
Wow.
sounds like a lot, but
Mm.
complete silicon, PCB, complete software stack, supporting lots of customers, working on the next generation architecture, everything in house. If you look at our peers, everybody's raised, I think, more than 250 million plus.
Mm.
We try and be
Mm.
as frugal and efficient as possible in all
Right.
respects, both in
So you
power and in fundraising.
there you go. Well, yeah, you guys are a bargain, so that's good. Yeah, efficiency all the way through, operations as well.
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
that's really cool. And so, do you have any particular deployments that you'd like to highlight? That
Yeah.
you mentioned some of the markets that you were going into, but any kind of, you've got your cocktail party chatter on your
Yeah.
case studies and stuff. I mean, what's stuff that's really kind of gotten you excited?
Yeah. I mean, there's really a variety of different applications. So in manufacturing, we have systems deployed for defect detection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have a customer, although it's not a big focus, we have a customer that's working on a drone, someone that's doing a handheld medical device.
Mm-hmm.
We have a construction safety
Mm-hmm.
application. We have a number of video management server-based applications. We have someone that's deployed many, many thousands of camera streams, and they're using NVIDIA-based servers. And
Okay.
we offer a pretty compelling opportunity. So we're not deployed yet, but we have the server in house. We can show the advantage, and that'll take a little while to get the deployment out there. But I think it's going to be a huge advantage for the customer. So
Mm.
there's a pretty wide variety of industrial manufacturing, VMS services,
Yeah.
surveillance,
Yeah.
instruction, and we're all about kind of computer vision and, like I said, single to multi-camera. And the more
Mm.
cameras someone has, kind of the more value they're going to get in using us.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned like workplace safety construction
Yeah,
sites. People maybe don't realize the amount of tech that's being
yeah,
put into those sites is pretty. I mean, there's like OSHA and kind of a lot of regulatory safety things where people need to be monitored, and there's even like noise level measuring. I mean, there's all kinds of
right,
interesting things going on at construction sites, visually, and the sound, and the, monitoring environmental conditions and stuff like that. So that
absolutely.
whole space is really fascinating because you'd think it's not a very techy thing. It's like a lot of
Yeah,
dust and wood and stuff, but um, Yeah, there's a lot of tech in there. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Safety and compliance is critical. So making sure the right people are in the right zones, and they're prepared, and yeah, no one goes the wrong direction. And
Mm-hmm.
even construction site progress is some of the things
Yeah,
that the
sure.
customers want to do. Why have a 24/7 camera just staring at your construction site when you can use AI metrics, right, to evaluate progress?
Mm,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of really interesting and creative applications.
Hmm. I had a kind of a funny sidebar. We have a house in Massachusetts. It's kind of out in the boonies, out in Cape Cod, and we had a septic problem. We had to get the drain field replaced, and
Those are fun.
so
Yeah.
they did it they had to dig up the driveway to do it. And I had a Ring camera out there. So I'm
Yeah.
like in Seattle. So I'm like
Yeah.
monitoring this construction through my Ring camera,
Yeah.
and seeing these giant, diggers and stuff like that. And it was funny, for about a week, like nothing happened. And I
Yeah.
was like, So I texted the guy, Chris. I'm like, hey, what's up with the crew, and I guess they had been assigned to some other job and stuff.
Uh,
And so he's like, oh yeah, we'll get him back. We'll get him back. But I was like, well, I'm glad I had my camera looking at my
yeah. And I don't know if you were just looking at it, but yeah, if you enable some AI metrics, what time they show up, what time they leave, how many
Yeah.
workers are there, how often they leave the area they're supposed to be working on. I mean, there's a
Mm,
lot of metrics someone can get,
yes.
kind of automated using AI these days. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
That's
compelling.
fascinating. So how did you get connected with the Edge AI Foundation? How did you get
Well,
connected with it? I think it was
I knew about it from many years ago, the Tiny ML effort.
Yes,
And
that's right.
so I knew about it. And, philosophically at MemryX, one thing is, okay, build and sell chips. That's fine.
Sure.
But having something that's educational for
Mm,
others, really good documentation, open source community, broad based, all these are philosophies that we have that align really well with the Edge AI Foundation. We
mm.
just finished a summer training with the robotics camp at University of Michigan. We're
Oh,
doing a
cool.
hackathon here in September. We're doing another
Mm,
hackathon in Saudi Arabia in October.
mm.
We publish everything, publicly. We don't hide or keep things closed source. So someone can go to our developer hub and they can get 100 examples, 400 different models. They can get all the software downloaded for free. We explain
Mm.
how it works. We have architecture white papers. So we want to be as open and easy to use
Right.
and free as possible. And we thought, hey, that aligns really well with some of the goals of the Edge AI
True.
Foundation.
True. Yeah, no, that's true. And we underwrite a lot of educational programs. And I'm making a mental note to connect you with this guy, Marcelo. We're running actually a program in Colombia, Latin America, I think at the end of this month. Might be too late for that, but
Okay.
yeah, I think that, it's almost insatiable, the hunger that's out there to learn this stuff and to implement it. And that's one of the benefits of this type of AI,
Yeah.
is that you can do it hands-on,
Right. Right.
and, no cloud required,
Exactly.
which is kind of
Exactly.
cool.
And we really, really go out of our way to make it as easy to use as possible. So, one of
Mm,
the summer programs on the robotics, these are high school students
yeah.
using an AI accelerator and programming it using all different models, integrating into it's not just theoretical into physical objects that they're using AI acceleration. And we
Right.
want to be as easy to use as possible. So we can scale to not just, the hardware, but scale in terms of people. And
Yeah.
that's the education aspect and giving back to the community is really important to us.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. So what kind of advice would you give? There's so many startups out there doing AI stuff.
Yeah,
Obviously you're coming at it from the silicon angle,
yeah,
like, and you've been in the industry for a while, kind of know the deal. Like,
right.
what are your words of wisdom when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I want to start an AI company, do X, Y, and Z or whatever?
Oh, yeah. Well, one is to survey the market because there's a lot out there, a lot of creativity out there, and
Hmm.
you need to have something special and differentiating. Is
Hmm.
one. Two is realize you can't do everything yourself on AI. So partnership is extremely important. Just
Hmm.
about everybody requires partners at some level, and
Yep.
so I think doing the upfront diligence. What do I have that's differentiating? What partners do I need? Ecosystem. What value can I provide for my customer? And what really am I all about? And is it sustainable? Am I a product or a feature, or am I a company? These are the sorts of questions. But I think a lot of people kind of just jump into it very quickly without doing the diligence up front, and you need that to be successful. So
Yeah.
especially these days, there's so many AI companies, and if you're not in AI, most people can barely tell the difference. And so you really need to put the go beyond ChatGPT questions to due diligence for yourself on kind of the right path to move forward.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. That's good advice. And, doing that due diligence, being honest with yourself and your product, like you said, are you a product or a feature? And is it sustainable? Is it scalable? I mean, these are all questions obviously investors will ask you anyway. So good to sort of answer those first before you get in front of some Sandhill Road folks or whoever that'll.
Yeah, those guys are increasingly skeptical. They've heard a lot of stories in AI land, and you need to bring more than just a good story to them.
Need to be buttoned up pretty good. Cool. Well, Keith, it was really great to catch up again with you. Hopefully see you in person at some point soon. And wow, MemryX sounds really cool. And I encourage folks to go to your website and learn all about it. Anything else? Any other call to action other than the website that you want to say?
Our website has a link to our developer hub. Cool. And you can, not that this is a commercial, but you can buy the product off Amazon. You can use all the software, plug it into any system with an M.2. All the software is free online. And so I encourage, like I said, high school students can use it. I would encourage anyone that's interested in learning about more about AI and edge AI and want to do the tools. Hopefully we have all the resources that are out there. And if we don't, we have an online community. We can answer any questions anyone has.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds very accessible.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, Keith.
Great talking to you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.